Hello and welcome to another Light Reading Executive Spotlight Q&A. This is Light Reading's sponsored podcast series where we explore some of the people, technologies, and ideas that are moving the industry forward. My name is Phil Harvey. I'm an editor here at Light Reading. My guest today is Octavian Tanase. He's the Chief Product Officer at Hitachi Vantara. Octavian, thanks so much for joining me.
Good morning, Phil. Happy to be here.
Great to have you. And our topic today, we're going to talk about how AI is influencing enterprise infrastructure design and exactly what's driving the next generation of high-end block storage. And Hitachi Vantara should have quite a bit to say about that. So let's get right into it. From your perspective, how is AI changing enterprise infrastructure design?
Well, I think AI is changing everything. The topic of podcasts, of government policies, the dinner conversation, it's on AI. And obviously it's changing, infrastructure in the data center in the cloud. So fundamentally, what I see is the demands on scale, on the power required to run the data centers, on the need for sovereign AI and sovereign data centers, the cost, the skill required. It's all changing, and it's putting a lot of pressure on enterprises, on governments, on large customers to be able to leverage AI.
Yeah, it's all interlinked and it's all changing at the same time. So that's what makes it particularly challenging. But for those who may need to know this, because we refer to so much change happening in the enterprise, IT arena. But what makes the AI workload so different from the traditional enterprise application, and what it normally would the kind of strain it would normally put on the infrastructure?
So I think the AI workloads have evolved over time, right? A few years ago, AI was being used for predictive analytics, and it was mostly machine learning. And that has evolved into broad use of generative AI. And most recently, customers are looking to leverage agentic AI and build autonomous, modules that could take a business workflow and transform that into into a self running module that can act on behalf of a person or the business. So I would say AI pipelines have changed. The AI use case have evolved. It's not that machine learning and predictive analytics are no longer important or being used, but there is an intersection of OT and IT that is taking advantage of AI, and these pipelines, continue to evolve.
Yeah, it's not just information retrieval and kind of pattern matching type stuff. It's like you said, it actually moves into the operational side of the business and making decisions and then enacting those decisions. So it can get quite complex. Earlier, we both referenced that this is putting a lot of pressure on enterprises. Since you're, you know, uh, more in touch with those customers than a lot of us, where are enterprises feeling the most pressure?
I would say skill. Um, Everybody wants to use AI to derive some business value, to take something that is maybe complex or risky, and simplify that and de-risk it. Or they're looking to drive more productivity in an enterprise, or they're looking to leverage their data, for better insights. They want everything to be indexed upon ingest, and then a simple way to do analytics, and for these analytics to be autonomous and always be available. So I would say the complexity, the lack of skills in many enterprises, time to value, and obviously there's always cost. Making investments in AI infrastructure is not trivial.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a big undertaking and one that I think people have to kind of make quick decisions on because it does seem like, competitors in an industry might be leaving them behind if they're not investing quickly enough or wisely enough. Um, so, you bring up an interesting point though that the access to the data is the really important thing here, for AI to work and for the enterprise to get the most out of that investment. um, why is unifying data across the various storage types, block, file, and object storage? Why is that so important at the moment?
Well, as you said, AI, it's all about data, right? And it's at the intersection of compute data and some very sophisticated algorithms. And the reality is that much of the AI initially started with unstructured data. More customers are realizing that the business critical data, it's in a database. And what we've been doing, and I've seen some other industry leaders look to do, is find a way to build these data lakes and lake house architectures where you're able to exploit the heterogeneous nature of your data and find a way to unify access, to a database, to an S3 bucket and a bunch of files that you may have in your environment. And you also want to have that ability to have a data lake or a lake house architecture that spans the traditional data center into the public cloud. So unifying access to different type of data sets, it's really important and one of key priorities for Hitachi Vantara.
Now, when enterprises are kind of, have been traditionally functioning, like the operations data might go in one system and be managed differently than the customer data. Um, what's the biggest challenge now for enterprises if they're looking at managing separate data systems for different workloads across their domain?
Well, what comes to mind is the fact that data has gravity. And you have to understand that in order to have that access, to the data, you at times may have to move the data. Well, that's very inefficient. It's not cost effective. It's time consuming. So having a simple way to access data, or ideally leverage the metadata of the data without moving content, it's a big challenge. The second is security. You see most companies trying to implement a zero trust architecture, where you always verify and never trust, and you're looking to give the least amount of access, to a user. So security, it's another big challenge that enterprises have as they try to deal with the different data sets. And lastly, the fact that you have different interfaces and APIs into the different data sets, whether it's object storage, file, block, or even a mainframe attached or software defined storage. So those the difference in the interfaces requires thoughtfulness and the type of system that gives you that operational simplicity.
Now, if we're striving toward operational simplicity, how would working on a unified platform, how would that change things for enterprises when it comes to operations?
Ideally, you provide customers with a unified control point. And that's kind of the goal that VSP 360 has had in our portfolio. A true, simple, unified control plane that enables you to manage, data across the hybrid cloud and across the different type of storage, whether it's block, file, or object. You also want to enable on that control plane a set of AI powered data governance services. Because when it comes to looking to correlate data or move data, there are there are concerns, especially in regulated industries, if you're in healthcare or if you're trying to move data across a boundary. Concerns on data sovereignty come into play. And that's very important for that control plane to not just have the operational simplicity, but also to be complemented by a set of data governance services that enable compliant, secure use of and access to the data.
Yeah, that makes sense because keeping it protected is just as important as being able to access it and use it when you need to.
Yeah,
Um,
imagine having an agentic AI module that understands the context of the data that comes in and automatically applies a retention policy that it's in line with the usage of that data.
mhm.
Right,
Yeah,
that would be that's the future, that's the area of investment for us. Or when you're looking to replicate the data to a different data center or perhaps into the cloud, concerns around GDPR or sovereignty come into place. And can you have an agentic AI module that automatically understands when you're trying to take an action or takes an action on your behalf to allow or prevent compliant use of an IT operation or business operation?
Mhm. Yeah, this is good that you bring that up because it does sort of remind us that there are risks inherent to using AI, and I'm curious, to get your perspective on the risks that enterprises are preparing for as it becomes more and more um, baked into their operations and kind of, like you were saying, more and more core to what they do every day.
Well, I think one of the risks that has to be managed is governance, especially for AI. Um, there are new regulations that are coming into place, some driven by EU, some driven by US executive orders on AI. And I would expect that many countries will have new emerging regulations on use of AI. So uncharted territory for many enterprises looking to operate. You cannot just have a plan and execute it without allowing for the ability to deal with emerging governance. The second is security. Data and security are always things that you have to address hand in hand. Um, Data privacy, uh, you know, data availability and classification are things that are risks for enterprises to continuously monitor, manage, and frankly anticipate.
So you had mentioned governance and compliance, and then of course there's the concern of enterprises keeping up with innovation. Um, how do you balance all of that between the need to address speed and scale, as AI continues to evolve?
Well, I would say the formula to creating innovation and value to customers is to partner both with technology companies who are part of the solutions, as well as with customers themselves. Because understanding customers, understanding their pain points, trying to anticipate some of their challenges, it would leads to healthy innovation, and that gives you both time to creating something that is useful. It also validates that you're building something that people want to consume. So you want time to value, you want to time to solution provided, you want a solution that scales. But the best way to innovate is with customers and with technology partners. And obviously, in the world of AI, right, where you're making broad use of AI, you have to do that in a compliant way, right? I mean, especially in the use of generative AI, one has to do it in a way that doesn't put at risk, your innovation and what software systems your customers consume.
Yeah, that does make sense. As you had said earlier in our conversation, that innovation is definitely a team sport. So that does make sense. Um, Now, another AI topic that we should address is that of sustainability, because that's always uh, kind of a concern because of the power that these systems use. So, how does sustainability and energy efficiency fit into infrastructure design?
So sustainability, it's a topic that I think it's top of mind for many enterprise customers, for governments, especially in EU, but across the world. And I think there are two aspects of that. Number one is we all want to operate in a more sustainable way, in a way that we live this world in a better place, for our children. So there's that, higher level of thought process. And the second, it's something that is very pragmatic and many enterprises would relate to, which is deploying sustainable solutions will save you money, will reduce your costs, and will reduce the need to power a data center or a system, to cool a power a to cool a data center or a system. In many cases, you're able to consolidate multiple applications in a smaller footprint in the data center. It also enables you to perhaps replicate with ease data across data centers or between the traditional data center and the cloud. So sustainability, higher level goal, for us as humans, as well as something that impacts, people's P&Ls.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, yeah, it would be foolish to be chasing this, more efficient enterprise while you're simply moving money from one one spending output to another in terms of energy consumption. So how let's put it all together then. How does Hitachi Vantara help customers handle the growing infrastructure demands that are being put on enterprises by AI?
So our goal is to build a data platform for innovation. And we really look to understand and anticipate the needs of customers, and the variety of workloads that they need to deploy in their data centers or in the cloud. We look to help them address key pain points around scale, cost, security, compliance, sustainability. So everything that we put together in terms of a unified control plane, which we call VSP 360, or the data plane, the VSP1 data plane that is consolidated across any type of storage, wherever you're deploying your applications. This is the value that we bring to our customers, to our partners, to the industry. And lastly, I would say that we are developing a vision that it's very bold, and that vision, and you'll relate to that. You are aware of a hypothetical milestone, for us as humans, where an AI will be more powerful, smarter than a human being. And in the world of AI, we call that a singularity, an AI singularity. We're thinking, what would be the data singularity, and what would that mean for our customers, for the industry? Is there a way, for storage systems to be autonomous? Is there a way, for data to always be available uh, in a secure fashion to the right user, wherever that consumer may be? Is there a way, for people to take advantage of autonomous systems related to their data, to their governance, to the use of data in the enterprise? So, data singularity, it's something that we're thriving towards. And over time, you're going to see us put together proof points that get customers to achieve that goal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great way to kind of wrap up too, because it gives everyone not only a sense of uh, that Hitachi Vantara is dealing with the challenges that are right in front of them now, but has a strategic plan, to take us forward. And you're concerned with all of the same things that are stressing enterprises now: security, governance, speed, scale, and of course sustainability. We are just about out of time. Octavian, thanks so much for your time today. I do appreciate it.
A pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Good to talk to you as well. And folks listening to this, if you're hearing this podcast series for the first time, please do go out and check out past episodes at lightreading.com. Also, be sure to check the show notes of this recording for links and more information about Hitachi Vantara. And thanks so much for listening.